Good evening, and welcome to the Football Pool Rails application tutorial. I will be your host for this evening. Let's get started. First, I'd like to create a Rails app. Alright, I'll stop that. So, first thing we're going to do today, we'll just go over it. We're going to create the pit football pool where we're going to pick teams and everything, and hopefully, maybe we could get this like somewhat started before football season starts and we can kind of play around and actually pick some teams and have some fun with it. So, first things first, kind of want to go over at the end of each week. I was thinking we can have a challenge of the week and see if you can accomplish this one task without me showing you. The rest will be pretty much just a straight walkthrough. So, to get started, what we're going to do is making sure that you have Rails installed and everything, the gem Rails. We're going to create the football app. So uh, Rails new foot, and we're going to put a dash T there. And what that's going to do is specify that we don't want to use the default testing environment. We're going to be using our spec. And we'll go over that in just a moment. It's going to run bundle install. That's probably going to take you a little while because you probably don't have all those gems installed yet. Um, but I already had them installed, so it was pretty quick. So the first thing we're going to modify is the gem file. This is at the very root of your application. Um, if you're ever wondering what file I'm actually working on, um, the path here is written down here. So you know, oh, I'm in the app folder and the controllers and application controller. I'm going to be going kind of quickly because you can pause and rewind and everything. So you'll always know what file I'm working on, though. If you pause it, you'll see it down there. So first things first, we're going to create a new group for test and development. And this is going to be for anybody who's going to be working on our application. We're just going to kind of specify that they have our spec Rails. And here we're going to have install the Devise gem. So our first task is going to be create a website where you have to log in order to use it. So we're just going to kind of create the login first, the login process, and we're also going to create the logout. So it's going to be kind of simple. It's a step one, um, just the first step to getting it to work. So we're going to install RSpec, which is our testing framework, and we're going to install Devise. Devise is just an application that allows you to create logins easily within your Rails app. It comes with a whole lot of methods and authentication ways and stuff that you can configure in your application. So if you see here, we have a few steps that we have to do. I'm going to go over all the ones that we need to do right now. So the first thing we want to do, actually, let's I'm going to create a home controller with an index .html file that's going to be used whenever anybody accesses our application. Um, the root of the application when they go to like football.com is going to be home index. Um, so that was one part. The second part we want to do is we want to configure the environment options. We're only going to be kind of working on the development right now. We're going to have to configure this for production as well. But until we know what our production server would be, we're going to leave it alone. So config action mailer dot default URL options. so that's the first part. We already set the routes file, and the last thing we want to do is set up the notice and the alerts. Basically, what this does is let me just type it out first. This is going to allow us to have little alerts that'll pop up saying, hey, you signed in successfully, there was a problem signing in, and such. Um, and that's needed for Devise to work correctly. And that's pretty much it for setting up Devise here. Devise isn't it's installed, but it's not necessarily used. We'll take a look and see what it takes to do that. But first, we're going to have to create our database. So we're going to db create. We're going to migrate our database. Basically going to run and then populate everything into our database that Devise has created for us so far. Although I guess nothing has been created yet. That's going to be in the next step. But let's take a look real quick. If we go to 3000, or it doesn't exist, I gotta start the server. See, we have our home index. So basically, this site does absolutely nothing but present this. We've done this one before, or been to that point before. So let's go ahead and let's create a user. That Devise will use to authenticate with. And let's create, Devise views. And lastly, I'm going to rake db migrate to create the Devise users table, or that the users table that Devise creates for us. And if we go back, you'll notice, actually first let's go to the index, the home index, and we'll go here and we'll say, well, and if we were to refresh now and actually have the server running, it says welcome to the pit. Now our objective is to make it where you don't see welcome to the pit unless you've actually signed up for our website. So what we're going to do is go into controllers, into our home controller, and authenticate user is a method that Devise provides for us that says before you allow anything to happen on our home controller or anything that the home controller would show, which it shows index, you have to authenticate the user. It's kind of done behind the scenes. You don't see it, which makes it look a little nicer as you're writing your application. But you just have to know that before any action occurs, before you go to any site or anything happens on this home controller, you're going to authenticate and make sure that that user is logged in and good. What we're going to do is we're going to try it now. open up or start up the server again. We're going to refresh. And it's going to say, hey, see, you need to sign up or sign in before continuing. So we're going to say none at example. Oh, wait, we're going to have to create a user. So we're going to sign up. And then we're going to make the password something you don't know. That way you'll never know, like it really matters. Sign up. And look, you've signed up successfully. That's that flash notice that we were talking about before. It just kind of says, hey, you've signed up good. And our website home, or our home index page, says welcome to the pit. And now if you were to refresh this, well, you signed in successfully is now gone, because there's no need to really show it because you're signed in, and it just says welcome to the pit. Now, how do we sign out? Well, we can't just say like log out. It'd be awesome, but there's no such thing. So we're going to create a logout method. Now, in order to do that, we have to figure out where the logout is. Devise creates this for you automatically. You just have to know how to call it. So we're going to rake routes. We're going to see what routes are available to us. And we got users sign out. Well, that sounds promising. And what that calls is the devise controller, and then session destroy with the destroy action. Devise folder sessions controller, and then destroy. Um, so there's a helper method called destroy user session that we're going to use, and basically it allows you to call /user/sign out by just kind of calling this path. Another thing to note here is there's a get verb, a post verb, and delete verb. A get is typically the method to use get is when you type in a URL at the top, or when you click links and such, you usually get the get request. You're like, hey, I want to get to this site, I want to get information back. Post is usually done when you want to sign in with a username and password, and you click a button. It's usually all buttons or send post requests. So right now we have to figure out how to call the delete, and I'll show you that in a second, but I can show you what happens if we don't call delete first. But let's remember, destroy user session is the the helper link method. So we're going to create a link. It's going to say log out, and it's going to call, I already forgot it, destroy user session. And the method is, well, we'll just do it without it first. You'll see what happens. We'll go back to our site and actually have it running. Sweet, we have a little logout. So we're going to click that. It's going to say, hey, no route matches get with user sign out. If you remember, you click a link, it does a get request by default, but it has to be a delete type of a request, not a get. So how do we fix that? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're going to say method delete. So it's going to send a delete request this time instead. And let's go back, refresh. Oh, of course. It helps when you put commas in like you're supposed to. And now if we click log out, there you go, we're logged out. And that's basically how you can create a site to sign in and sign out quite easily. So your task, however, is going to be to make this message that comes up by default, those flash messages that come up, they were in the paragraph, they were in paragraph tags. We want to make them look pretty and make them look something like this. See, in the red, you need to sign up, kind of in the middle with a red background. You can play around however you want, but we just want to try to modify this message. And if we were to sign it here, so it says here we need to sign up before continuing, and we're going to want to sign up. And then when we do, we'll say tim@example.com. And look at that, a green welcome sign saying you signed in successfully, and we still see welcome to the pit. So I've done it to make it look a little like this. Let's see what you come up with. Have fun. See you later.